Right, and we are live. How's it going, everyone? Happy Friday. Nick Marro, DFS here with Chuck Silver and Occupy Fantasy, as always, helping you break down tonight's NBA DFS main slates on both DraftKings and FanDuel. We got a lot of guys in the chat here. Tilting yesterday, I mean, a lot went right, a lot went wrong. Kind of those Christmas slates are always tough the way they staggered the games, but we're here to bounce back. We got a 7-gamer over on DK, 9 games over on FanDuel. Already have a lot of news opening up some value. Chuck, what are your initial takes as we dive into this Friday night slate here?
Well, Harrow and Bam are out, so we're going to have some value on the Heat. Probably should be chalk on this large slate. And then, we'll get into it, but Jalen Johnson is going to stand out for me once again near the top.
Yep. Yeah, Jalen Johnson's been our guy for a better part of 2 years now. But yeah, shouts out the chat. We got Ben in here, HP Cards. Like I said, a lot of tilt about Christmas. Just want to bring your guys' names up. Always appreciate you being here early. Luke, Heath, Cards again. Jeremy Sweet here as well. And yeah, NBA is tough, man. You get more people playing. The contests are bigger. But if you don't hit on the right pieces, it can fall apart really quick. And obviously, with the last game going to overtime, that definitely changed some things. But enough about yesterday. We are on to today. Again, 7 games over on DraftKings, 9 on FanDuel. We're going to go through game by game, guys, so feel free to get your questions in. First game on tonight's slate here. We got a bunch in the 7 o'clock window. We got the Celtics taking on the Pacers in Indiana. 222.5 point total. Starting on the Boston side of things, Jason Tatum's going to be out. Jordan Walsh is available. Other than that, really nothing significant. No Chris Boucher. I don't even think he's played many minutes for them at all this season. So nothing really to dive into here as far as Boston injuries go. Always the case with Boston. You got Jaylen Brown. You got Derek White. You got Peyton Pritchard. 2 of these 3 guys probably hit value. Jaylen Brown always looks like the best, but he's the most expensive. Pritchard, easy to get to. Like, you can make a case for any of those 3. I think they all look fine. Kata as a center play is viable. There's better center value on this slate, in my opinion. We'll talk through that as we go through these games. But yeah, I think the guards here, White, Pritchard, look fine. I think if you could afford Brown at low ownership, it makes some sense. This is a good matchup for sure. Other than that, it's going to be kind of tough to get to anyone here. Walsh probably slides back in and starts at the 4. We've seen Josh Minott getting some of those opportunities recently, with Walsh being pretty inconsistent, but I just don't have much interest in either. Again, it's that quote-unquote big 3, if you want to even call them that. Brown, White, Pritchard right now for me from Boston. That's about it for me, Chuck. How about you?
Yeah, I've had interest in Walsh the last few slates, but not today. Bunch of Jaylen Brown and Derek White, though. They're both pretty low owned. Don't mind getting to either of them. And then I have a few percent of Kata and Pritchard. Kata on FanDuel specifically.
Yep. Yep, pretty much the same exact page. Don't mind mixing in Kata. There are some good value centers. Over on the Pacers side of things, still no Halliburton. Isaiah Jackson and Aaron Naismith are both out. Obi Toppin, Ben Shepherd, both out here as well. Looking at OF Index, we have Siakam as a pretty solid play here. I mean, he has been good lately. I don't know that he's really been paying off that price tag even as it continues to come down. I don't mind mixing him in. Can't really call him a priority, though. I mean, Jay Huff looks okay. Prefer him on DK where he has forward eligibility. Still not a priority. Nemhard and Mathurin probably going to see plenty of usage here. But again, it's just a team that's kind of healthy, at least as healthy as they have been over the past few weeks. So we're not going to find a ton of value in terms of their prices. I will say, if Ethan Thompson gets the start again over on DK at just 3,400, I don't mind him as like a piece of value just to open up another pay up option if you're trying to go into the stars and scrubs types of builds today. He's been pretty good. Seems like Carlisle likes him, which is half the battle for these young kids when you're part of this Pacers team. TJ McConnell, always has some upside off the bench. It's very inconsistent when it comes to projecting his minutes, though. So again, I think if I'm getting to anything here and it's gross, it might be a little bit of Thompson on DK and some stars and scrubs builds. He looks pretty good in terms of DK value. Jay Huff right there with him as well. But yeah, man, are you interested in the Pacers here? Not the best matchup against Boston, obviously.
No, I got a few percent of Siakam. He looks better, I guess, today than he has. His price is coming down. He's still super low owned, but the model's not really saying he's a good points per dollar value, despite the OKOF index. So I don't mind getting a few percentage of him. And then I'm always interested in J Huff, but the rest of this team is pretty uninteresting. Maybe Nemhard around 6,100 on DraftKings.
Yeah, can't argue with any of that. We did have Luke asking about Siakam. They're not really daunting in the paint. I agree with you, man, but it's just at his price. We got to compare the other players at that price point, not necessarily in the same game. I think there's a lot to like tonight in that 8K range. So if you want to get to him, feel free. It's just you're kind of looking for even at 8K, like closer to 50 fantasy points. I mean, it seems like he does that maybe once a week. If that, he's had 2 games over 50 fantasy points. His last, I think, 10 to 15. So again, I'm plucking data from a small set of games, a small sample. Obviously, don't want to over kind of emphasize this stuff, but I don't know. It's just rare we're seeing the ceiling from Siakam right now. So at his price, he's fine. But again, I wouldn't be too bullish on him personally.
I do want to mention the Pacers released James Wiseman today. He's been playing about 12 minutes a game, and so now we have Tony Bradley showing up on the model for 11 minutes, Jay Huff at 26. I just want to point that out. Maybe there's something with the center rotation we can't really project with minutes today, but just know that there's 12 minutes somewhere. They probably just go to Tony Bradley, but might matter.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like I said, if Thompson starts, I don't mind him. Obviously, it's a different position, but this makes me feel a little bit better about McConnell getting his 18 minutes that he usually does. Isaiah Jackson's been a big part of that rotation. Even with Wiseman there, he's out as well. So there is a world where we see more Tony Bradley. It's just Boston isn't really a team that needs to play big. They have Luka Garza as their backup big, and then Xavier Tillman, who's more of a forward. So I don't know. I think Kate is out there against Huff. Maybe Siakam gets a few more minutes at the 5, which would boost his upside. But if you're playing a turbo slate or showdown, I don't think Tony Bradley's crazy. He's definitely won that backup job, third string job over James Wiseman, at least for now.
And I hate Jarris Walker, but maybe he gets a couple extra center minutes. He's only 3,300, 3% on DraftKings. Not a good play. Maybe he doesn't even make a 150 set, but maybe for future slates it becomes relevant.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that bench, it's like all guards and Walker, so that's not a bad shout either. I could definitely see him getting a few extra minutes. Hopefully, we don't need these deep bench Pacers guys. We get some value in some other spots. One of those spots being here in Charlotte, where they're taking on the Orlando Magic, 227.5 point total. Magic are going to be favored, not a massive favorite here at home, but they are still favored, obviously. On the Hornets side of things, Kalkbrenner's out, as is Mason Plumlee. We'll talk about Diabate in just a second. Other than that, KJ Simpson's going to be out. Nothing else too significant to talk through. Diabate, man, as far as value at center goes tonight, definitely stands out in a big way. Back-to-back games now where he has played starter minutes. He came off the bench against Cleveland, but over 35 fantasy points for him in back-to-back games. Even with the price increase on FanDuel where he's 5,400, I like him a lot. I think he's a great center play. And on FanDuel, you get the extra points for stocks. This is a guy who does have block upside, even though we haven't really been seeing out of him, over the past few games. No blocks for him the last 4 games played. He did have 6 steals against Cleveland. Just a wide range of outcomes when it comes to stocks, but definitely boosts his ceiling. He's been crashing the boards, collecting a ton of rebounds. The extra minutes for him have gone a long way. So Diabate to me, especially on DK where I'm playing 2 centers, a core play for me here tonight. Other than that, it gets tricky. LaMelo Ball, whatever I say, don't play him. He seems to go off. He's gone for 40-plus fantasy points in 24 minutes in back-to-back games. I just can't play him, man, until he's getting over 30 minutes consistently. I don't know if we ever see that from him again as long as he's on the Charlotte team. But at his price, he is tempting. I don't see myself getting there. You can mix in guys like Miller, Bridges. I'm a huge fan of Canupo, but with his team healthy, and Sexton is back now as well, it's just harder to get to him. But Diabate, to me, core play here in a big way, even in a pretty tough matchup against Orlando. How do you feel about the Hornets?
Not getting to really anyone. A couple percent of Con Knipple, and then Diabate. I'm getting a ton over on DraftKings. The 4,600 price, he just didn't come up enough. We haven't projected for 32% ownership. I would be kind of surprised if he came in at 32. I think he'll come in a little bit higher. And then the 7% over on FanDuel. I wasn't getting much over on FanDuel either, and I'm trying to look at what other centers I'm getting, and I'm just very spread out. There's a couple other value centers we'll get to later. But I have interest if he's only going to come in at 7%, especially if the stock variance hits right. He could, have another really big game.
Yeah, I think it's tough to get away from Diabate, especially on DK. One of the centers you could be pivoting to comes in the same game in the form of Wendell Carter Jr. Goga Batadze is going to be out tonight. Tristan Silva is available, but they're still without Suggs and Franz Wagner and Mo Wagner. But yeah, man, Carter, we always wonder if his minutes are going to stay consistent. That's always the question with him. Goga does a pretty good job backing him up off the bench. So if Goga plays well, we do see him kind of cannibalize each other time to time. But no Goga tonight should secure those minutes for Carter Jr. He's only a little bit more expensive than Diabate over on FanDuel, so I don't mind pivoting there. But when you look at the ownership, that's not where the field's going at all. So Carter, another good center play here. Don't mind him on both sides. Obviously, with Suggs and Fogner out, both Bain and Banchero look pretty good. Anthony Black's been playing really well. He's now over 7K, though. It's kind of a tough click for me, if I'm being completely honest. We're going to see Tyus Jones get the start. That's always a no for me. Just not playing him at all, even at a very cheap price. He finally had a good game last time out against Portland, shot 4 for 6 from 3, and decent before that against Golden State. But I don't know, man. I'm still in you got to still prove it to me. I'm just not quite there yet. It is a good matchup for him. He is cheap. The field doesn't seem to be getting there. So feel free to talk me on to Tyus Jones here. But right now, not much interest in Orlando for me other than the obvious plays in Bain, Banchero, a little bit of Carter. How about you?
Yep, same for me. Just a few percent of everyone. It is interesting how good Wendell Carter looks on the model today on DraftKings and on FanDuel too. It's just harder on FanDuel because there's a lot of centers that are slightly cheaper than him that project also around 30 fantasy points. So I think it's probably good to mix in a little bit more Carter, but we don't have to play much of him. He's pretty low owned on FanDuel. And then on DraftKings, it's probably the appropriate ownership. So I don't think we're getting any big advantages there. But the model really likes Wendell Carter today.
Yeah, I do like him. And again, the few extra minutes for him, just knowing that his minutes are safe as long as he stays out of foul trouble, it goes a long way with a player like that, knowing he's generally inconsistent. You didn't answer the tough question, though. Are you getting into any Tyus Jones? Finally looks like an NBA player again, dare I say it. 2 decent games against Portland and Golden State. Model kind of likes him. Field doesn't, though. I don't think I do either, but how about you?
I thought it was a rhetorical question. I did get a lineup with him over on
Okay.
DraftKings. One, none on FanDuel right now.
Yeah, and again, I tend not to be a believer, but I don't know. 2 good games in a row, maybe that's something. Definitely something to keep an eye on. It does seem like Suggs is going to miss a few more games, so maybe Tyus Jones is a player we're circling back to on the next Orlando Magic slate. Enough about that game and that team, though. Let's move into this next one here at 7. We get the Miami Heat taking on the Atlanta Hawks. Long injury report here for Miami, as it always is, so let me catch my breath. We got Bam Adebayo out, Tyler Hero out, KJ is available, as is Jaime Jaquez, Gashad Johnson's available, Nikola Jovic, who's missed some time, is back, Pele Larson is now available, Davion Mitchell available, Terry Rozier is on the injury report, he's out, Drew Smith available, Andrew Wiggins available, and Jameer Young. Someone needs to tell Eric Spoelstra he doesn't need to put every single player who's available on the injury report. Seems totally unnecessary to me. But with their 2 best players, arguably, in Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero, both out, the rest of the starters are going to see a considerable boost, in their usage and a few minutes for some of these secondary guys here as well. Norm Powell looks excellent. Khalil Ware, who's had some really good games lately, even with Bam in, and coming off the bench, looks pretty good. Don't mind getting to him. Jaime Jaquez probably slides into the starting lineup. We should see him here at the 3. I could see him coming off the bench, but I think regardless, at his price, he's very appealing. Andrew Wiggins, another guy, feels a little bit too cheap, especially on DraftKings with his increased usage. Davion Mitchell tends to get overlooked on these types of slates where their stars are out, but he definitely has a high ceiling. You can make a similar case for someone like Drew Smith. I know you are the Pele Larson whisperer, though. Let me know your interest in him and then kind of follow that up with the rest of your takes on these Heat, because I guess Atlanta seems like a pretty good game to get involved with, especially with some key pieces missing for Miami.
Yeah, we need the problem is how many Heat players are we comfortable with in a lineup? Because I'm getting a ton of all of these guys over on both sites. The main 4, Jaime Jaquez, Powell, Wiggins, and Khalil Ware. Main 5, actually. Throw Davion Mitchell in there. Then I am playing a few percent of Pele Larson, but I don't know. This is good value that we have now. They're underpriced in a good matchup with Atlanta. And so with this being the first game, I think the big thing is just, are we going to get better value plays later? Maybe not. And I don't know that these guys are like value. Are we going to get better mid-range plays later? Better, probably not. Lower owned, yeah. So I think that's only consideration is not completely jamming these guys in and just saving a few percent of your exposures for something that happens in a later game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty comfortable with like 3, maybe 4. The other part of this is the total, 250.5 points. Very high total, very tight spread. It checks a ton of boxes. And one of our favorite payups today is Jalen Johnson. Makes sense to be running it back with a lot of Miami. But using that to transition here over to the Hawks, we got Gouye back after missing some time. Still no Kristaps Porzingis. Other than that, really nothing too significant. Trae Young's been back. He looks decent. We have him for 32 minutes. It still seems to be the Jalen Johnson show for the most part, though. Both these guys have shown an ability to hit high scores in the same game. Back-to-back games where they're both over 50 fantasy points. So if you're getting to a ton of Jalen Johnson, don't be afraid to play Trae Young with him. They can both get there, especially in a high total game like this. Those are the two I'm most interested in that order. Johnson, one of the best OF index plays on the entire slate. But again, no one's playing Trae Young. He's very low owned. He's playing plenty of minutes. He checks a lot of boxes for me, so definitely get some Trae Young in your tournament lives here as well. Okongwu looks okay. I think he's a bit overpriced even with Porzingis out. Dyson Daniels, who missed the game, is back in, available, pretty inconsistent. Then Nickeil Alexander-Walker has upside, but with Trae back, I think that directly cuts into what we can expect from Alexander-Walker. There's a few secondary guys here. I don't know. I'd rather be going to the Heat value if we're getting this cheap, but really, really like Jalen Johnson. Think he's under-owned. Trae Young as well. Those two to me look excellent here. Chuck, how you feeling about the Hawks?
I'm playing a ton of as much Jalen Johnson as I can on FanDuel anyway. A little harder to get to him at 11,000, but we are getting Trae Young at only 8,400. He's only projected for 12% ownership. I'm well over that. I think he's a pretty good GPP shot. One thing about Miami, so they have a top 5 defense in the NBA when Bam Adebayo plays. When he doesn't play, their defense is, I don't even know if they're average. Maybe they're average without Bam, but they play fast. Atlanta plays fast. So I have sprinkles of all the other playable guys here. Ricochet, maybe he's not that playable, but Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Dyson Daniels, Okongwu, more so on DraftKings. But I think Trae Young is like the GPP play that we kind of want to target here over on FanDuel. And then on DK, he's fine. He's just a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, again, you're paying a little bit more, but at just 4%, knowing he has that 50-point ceiling, I think he's definitely someone worth mixing into your exposures. Luke, we may have to wait till we get through all the games to kind of answer this one, but I think one pivot just in this game, if you're not getting to Jalen Johnson, maybe Johnson doesn't have a great game, but this game stays competitive. Trae Young could be direct leverage there, so I don't mind getting a little bit more Trae Young. The thing is, he's not all Johnson isn't all that popular, so it's not like a huge leverage point, but I don't know. Is there anyone else standing out to you as the pivot there, Chuck? I don't know that Okongwu directly is the type of play I'd be chasing.
I was going to say Kawhi Leonard, but he might be projected for more ownership than Jalen Johnson. I like Kawhi as a pay up at the forward position too. I don't know that there's any low owned guys. Like Jalen Johnson only projected for 9% on FanDuel. 27% on DK is fine, but yeah, I don't have anyone right now. Jaylen Brown?
Yep.
Maybe?
Yeah, Jaylen Brown, I was just going to say, I think he's another one, especially in a game where there shouldn't be a ton of defense on the other end. Just looking at the model quickly, I mean, we got Brown up there. You mentioned Kawhi, who looks great, obviously FanDuel only. I don't know, Scotty Barnes, he looks okay. Denny Avila. We talked about Paulo. Doesn't seem like he's going to be too low on those. So if you're looking for direct leverage, maybe it's Trae. But again, Johnson isn't as popular as maybe he should be. So let's just keep that in mind. Moving into another game here. I believe we're still in the 7 o'clock window. We got the Toronto Raptors taking on the Washington Wizards. Toronto favored on the road here, 224.5 point total. Scotty Barnes is questionable. I imagine this news comes through any second. If it hasn't already, feel free to kind of check me on that one. But no RJ Barrett. No Jakob Poeltl, which is obviously significant here as well. And Colin Murray-Boyles is going to be questionable. So with Toronto, if Scotty's in, Scotty looks good. If Scotty's out, I think Scotty obviously is going to give way to more upside to guys like Brandon Ingram and Emmanuel quickly. Those two already look fine. This another quote-unquote big three we have here with Barnes, Ingram, and quickly with no RJ Barrett. They all have appeal slate to slate, especially in a matchup like this against Washington. Not really a great defensive team. But Sandro is the guy, and he's been the guy. A little bit surprised he hasn't been even more popular. He had that one bad game against the Nets, but if you remember, Poeltl came back for that one game against the Nets. His 3 starts without total. He's gone over 30 fantasy points. I still think he's too cheap for what he's capable of. And yeah, good matchup for him here too. He checks a ton of boxes. You can play him at forward over on DK. And on FanDuel, it looks like he's getting just as much love as Diabate now, or not quite, but he's the pivot I think that the field's getting to. But I really do like Sandro. Love to see him starting here. And then as it stands, if Barnes is in, I think Barnes, Ingram, Quickly are fine. But if Barnes is out, Ingram and Quickly do become priority plays. And the last guy I'll just shout out is Jamal Shed here. Pretty good fantasy point per minute producer off the bench. Night to night, you don't know how many minutes he's going to play, but if you're desperate for that last piece in, I don't mind it. But again, Barnes looks good. If he's out, though, get to Ingram and Quickly. Sandro, kind of the core play for me here, though, Chuck. How do you feel about Toronto on the road in DC?
Getting a ton of Sandro on FanDuel right now. That's one of the reasons I'm not getting as much Diabate. Not as much of everyone else, just sprinkles. They're all cheaper over on DraftKings, so I'm getting like double-digit percent of the big three there. But I think Sandro is a really interesting one because the model has Diabate with a slightly better value score on FanDuel, and then he's 900 cheaper on DraftKings. So Diabate's value score on DraftKings is much better. You can play both on DraftKings though. On FanDuel, we can only play one. And I think playing Diabate at like a third to a fourth of the ownership that Sandro is going to come in at is pretty good. But I'm playing a bunch of Sandro too.
Yeah, I mean, he's been good. So is Diabate. I don't think you can really make a huge case for one over the other. But on DK, you could play both and another center. So my initial builds definitely had both. I just wanted to mention that. Shouts out Rick Carroll, finally joined. I believe he may be behind the paywall now. So say hi to us in the Discord, Rick. Appreciate you. Darnell saying Scotty was already ruled in. Appreciate that, Darnell. Definitely good news there. We got some questions here on New Orleans from Power. We'll get into those in a minute. He's also saying Barnes is in. Again, appreciate you guys keeping us updated on the news here, especially when we got to rip through 9 games like this. On the other side of things here for the Wizards, we got Justin Champagny questionable, no Corey Kispert or Cam Whitmore. So a pretty healthy team here, but they are a little bit thin on the wing in their rotations. Alexander Sarr, I'm a huge fan. He's on my one season-long team this year. The minutes haven't quite been there since he's back from injury, but the production is. I don't mind mixing him in, but on a slate like this where we have better center value, I don't really want to call it priority or anything like that. As soon as that minutes cap is lifted, this is a guy who has been able to play upwards of 35 to 40 minutes. He is going to have a ton of upside at low ownership. So you want to be ahead of the field on that. It's just we can't really project him for it until we get word from the coach. Right now we have him at 28. He played 24 against Charlotte, 26 against Memphis, 24 against the Spurs in his 3 games back. So again, someday that minutes limit's going to be lifted and you're going to want him in your lineups. We just don't know when that's coming. So depending on your risk tolerance, maybe mix some of him in. McCollum looks okay. Keyshawn George, fine. Chris Middleton, probably no for me. I keep playing Bub Carrington now that he's starting, but it looks like he's going to move back to the bench now, oddly enough. So probably done with that experiment, at least for now. But yeah, CJ, George, you can make a case for Bilal Coulibaly. But again, low total game here. Team that's pretty healthy for the most part. I just don't have much interest in the Wizards. I'm looking forward to Sarr getting back over 30 minutes again. I just don't know that if I'm going to chase that here tonight or not. Chuck, how do you feel about the Wizards here at home?
Real quick, I want to make sure we mention Quickly was the best play on DraftKings out of those big 3 because of his price, and the model agreed with that. And then if you want to run it back with someone in this game, I really think the only options are CJ McCollum maybe, and then Chris Middleton. I hate him, but the model is kind of identifying him as a possible value play on FanDuel at 4,400. So I don't hate mixing in a little bit of Middleton, and then Keyshawn and Sarr, I'm okay getting to a few percent most days. Today, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, Middleton's interesting. I know I just kind of brushed over him, but I didn't realize he was only 4,400 over on FanDuel. I mean, that is too cheap. We have him for 23 minutes. I think he could play up to 30 in a competitive game, though. So at his price, definitely someone you can mix in at low ownership. Again, it's tough to want to take a stand on Middleton in 2025 going into 2026, but the price is definitely tempting us. So I'm with you there, man. And yeah, I agree. I think point per dollar Quickly with Barnes and definitely the easiest to get to for Toronto. All right. I think we're finally through the 7 o'clock games now. Moving into 7:30, we got the Philadelphia 76ers taking on the Chicago Bulls. Essentially a pick 'em here in Chicago, 240.5 point total. Philly on the road. Joel Embiid is questionable. I will lean on the chat again to update me on that news. Kelly Oubre is going to be out. Quentin Grimes, who missed the game, is probable. VJ Edgecombe and Dominic Barlow are both probable here as well. So Embiid's kind of interesting, man. I think we have enough value at center on the slate that I don't want to really rush to him. But even in limited minutes, he has been hitting value pretty consistently. So if he's in, you want to mix him in. I don't hate it, especially on DK where you could play 2 or 3 centers if you're counting Sandro. Maxey was a big disappointment the last stream we were on together. I think a big part of that was that McCain started next to him, and he was taking a lot of his usage when they were on the floor together. With Grimes back, McCain's going to move back to the bench. So in a weird way, as this team gets healthier, I feel a little bit better about Maxey. At low ownership against Chicago here, I mean, definitely sign me up if I can find a way to afford him a little bit, especially if we're paying down at center. I do think he's pretty appealing. These secondary options, Edgecombe, George, Grimes, are all fine. Not going to call any of them priorities, though. But any news on Embiid, and how do you feel about Philly in general here taking on the Bulls?
Last I saw, Embiid was still questionable. If he's out, I'd have a little more interest in this team, but as it is right now, I think they're just tournament shots. VJ Edgecombe showing out in the model at a single-digit ownership is pretty interesting. The model's been pretty good at identifying him when he's a good play. I'm not sure why he's standing out so much today. We do have him projected for 35 minutes, but that's a kind of a lower-owned mid-range pivot we could get to. And then Paul George, going to have some interest in Paul George.
Yeah, I'm with you. Paul George is playing 33 minutes every single game now. It seems like a pretty consistent number. We have him just shy of that. Edgecombe, to me, I think a product of Grimes being out was why we were seeing huge games out of him. But the starting lineup I'm looking at right now actually has Grimes and McCain coming off the bench, in which case Edgecombe definitely is still going to carry that upside. But I'll say this, if you're playing Maxey, I don't know that I want any of these other starters in that lineup. George, Barlow, you're hoping for the Maxey game where he has 35 to 40% usage and he's just doing everything. If Edgecombe's hitting a ceiling and George is hitting a ceiling, I think that's tougher to come by. But again, none of these guys are popular, so just kind of pick the way you want to tell yourself this game's going to go. I think there is appeal here, certainly on the Philadelphia side, regardless of whether Embiid's in or not. And also, if Embiid's out, Andre Drummond does kind of hate the Bulls for whatever reason. I think he does have some beef with Vooch, so maybe he becomes interesting as a value pivot at center. I'm thinking Embiid plays, but hopefully we have that news soon. On the Bulls side of things, no significant injuries. Patrick Williams is questionable. That's it. This is a team who's been missing guys for most of the season. They are as healthy as they've ever been. You can make a case for Giddey. Vooch, the minutes have been all over the place, but you think against a big team like Philly, they're going to need him a little bit. He feels cheap for his upside. Kobe White's been pretty consistent. Buzelis has flashed the ceiling. I'm just running through the starters, though. I think you can make a case for them, but none of them really stand out to me, Chuck. How about you?
Hasn't Vooch still been crushing? I'm interested in him. Model says he's okay at his still below 7K. And then, I don't know, Modest stands out in the model. Kind of uncomfortable, though. But if you're making 150, you probably want to mix him in at 2%. And then Giddey, I don't know. I always say to get over the field on Giddey when he's this low owned. Pretty good total, so I like that as a GPP pay up, too.
Yeah. Again, kind of similar to Philly. I think you want some pieces here, maybe not all of them, but the total definitely looks good. 240.5 points. Should be a close and competitive game as well. So while the field isn't getting there, this may be your spot to get different. Mixing some Philly, mixing some Bulls. I just really hope that game goes off because Vegas seems to think it will. So good reason to maybe tell them there. Next game here, this one in the 8 o'clock window. We got the Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. Starting on the Milwaukee side of things, Giannis and Alex Antetokounmpo are both out. I love listing them together. Torian Prince is out. Gary Trent Jr. is going to be out here as well. Kevin Porter Jr. is now 9K. And it's funny, dude. When he went down with that injury earlier in the season, he was not playing well. It's like Rollins played so good when he was out that he realized he had to really try when he came back. And that injury may be a blessing in disguise and then some now because Kevin Porter's been one of the more productive guards in the league since that return. I think he looks fine here. I am very firmly team anti-Kuzma. I'm a Kuzma hater. I think at his price you can mix him in, though. I would rather get to Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis is back to being the Bobby Portis he was in seasons past with Giannis out for the most part. Didn't play great against the Pacers, but prior to that, 2 games where he's around 35 fantasy points. Not only is he starting, but he's also closing, which for him is very, very important, especially in a matchup like this. where things could be paced up a bit. So I like Portis. I like Porter. I think they're fine. I don't mind Kuzma. If the field's getting there aggressively, though, I'm very comfortable coming in under that number. AJ Green, I know you had a takedown with him this year. I think with Gary Trent out, he maybe takes a few extra threes. Kind of interesting as the last piece in, but tricky spot here, the Bucks. I don't know if Giannis ever comes back at this rate, but how you feeling about Milwaukee tonight in Memphis?
I was trying to see what we could do with Gary Trent being out, but I think it kind of just secures Bobby Portis's minutes a little more actually, because I was looking at it and I was getting so much in my first runs, and it's kind of uncomfortable. But like you mentioned, he's been great, and the fact that he's closing now. My only concern with him is how high owned he is today, but I have that much in my current exposure, so love Bobby. And then I'm over the field on Kevin Porter Jr. every single day. I don't know. I project him out way better than the field does, and I don't know if he's quite been hitting that ceiling we're hoping for, but seems like a pretty decent game for him to get there. So I like getting on KPJ too. As for Kuzma, like you, I'm also out, but the model says he's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I always want to bring that up. Like, personally, not a player I'm happy to be getting. He had one huge game against the Celtics a few weeks ago. And on that stream, I said, I'm never playing Kuzma. And he certainly went off. But to your point on Porter, he has shown the ceiling, man. 60 fantasy points against the Timberwolves back on the 21st, 59 against Detroit. They have a really solid defense this year, 55 against Boston. I mean, he's flashed the upside, and this is not as good of a defense as those I've just mentioned. So if you want to get some Porter Jr., I like it a lot here. Over on the Memphis side of things, looking at the injury report, Brandon Clark, he's going to be out here. Cedric Coward is questionable. That's kind of significant. No Zach Edey, Ty Jerome, John Conchar, John Morant questionable, Scottie Pippen out, and Vince Williams out. So if Ja is in, I don't really have a ton of interest in this team, I guess. I mean, you can make a case for anyone in the front court right now. Jackson, Aldama, Landell have all shown upside. Wouldn't want more than one. But if Ja is out, Cam Spencer probably going to get the start here at point guard once again. He'd be the guy. The thing is, the price is up to a point now where he's not really the smash play that he was maybe even earlier this week. But again, if Ja's out, Spencer going to get the start at the one. He's going to look really good. Jalen Wells is someone I'm usually over the field on. Would more so be the case with John Morant out as well. But much wider range of outcomes for him. But I do like Spencer a lot. If Ja's out, again, if Ja's in, I don't know that I could prioritize anything. I will say Jaren Jackson, after a terrible start to the season, has shown a little bit of upside recently. Seems like he does still have a high ceiling, at least in his range of outcomes. But tough for me to really promote that with any sort of, I don't know, aggression. How do you feel about Memphis here at home?
On DraftKings, I think I have 0%. I don't have a single player, and then on FanDuel, I have a few percent of a couple of guys here: Coward, Wells, Aldama. Maybe that goes up a little bit if John Morant's out, but I don't think anyone's price stands out to where we're like jumping all over them. If Jaw's out, Jaw's been out a bunch of games, and we kind of know that no one here is going to take over. We were hoping JJJ would, but I don't really see it. I'll mention Santi like went off last time, so maybe he has that ceiling. He's only 4 and 5% owned. The price is uncomfortable, but if he hits the ceiling, it's fine.
Yeah, Santi's been getting the starts at the 5. Landell coming off the bench. Again, we have a lot of good center value, but Santi and Jackson have forward eligibility. I do think point per dollar, Santi definitely the easier play to get to, but I would be fine with one or the other. And like I said, the one guy I have my eye on is Spencer if Ja is out. If Ja's in, just not a team I'm really getting to with all that much excitement. Power here, yeah, Kuzma has lost me plenty of money. I'll never play him again unless he's in a Euro DFS game in Europe. I mean, never know. It could happen. Question here, Greg Jackson. He's back with the team. He played 29 minutes against Utah, had 33 fantasy points. Neither of us mentioned him, but maybe we should have. Not someone who was on my radar. He's not in the model, which tells us we're projecting him for less than 10 minutes. I don't know who was out that last game, but not someone I was thinking about today. But looking at the game log, I'm second-guessing myself, Chuck. Any thoughts on Gigi here?
He got that random start last time, came in pretty low owned. He was the min price. He came up a little bit. I don't know, if he gets the start again, he would be a good play. I don't think the field would swap onto him too much, so he'd be probably a fine lower owned value pivot. But
yeah,
it
and Clark went down, right? So maybe he takes those Clark minutes. Not that Clark was playing a ton of minutes, but pretty safe to just throw those over to Gigi, I think, if you're the Grizzlies.
Yeah, if John Morant's out though, Gigi, like he does have some usage, and I don't know, these other guys on the team take up usage too, but if Jaw's out, maybe I swap onto a few if he's confirmed starting Gigi Jackson.
Yeah, I'm with you. Good question, Ben. Appreciate it. Moving into the next game here, we got the Suns taking on the Pelicans. 240.5 point total, another high one. Starting on Phoenix, no Grayson Allen. Jordan Goodwin is available. No Jalen Green. Looking at the starting lineup here, I mean, really no surprises. Connor Gillespie's been getting the start at the point with Allen out. Booker slides to the two. I think they both look fine. Mark Williams feels a little bit cheap for what he's capable of. But on a slate where we have so much value at center, it's tough for me to really want to prioritize him given the inconsistencies in his minutes. Dylan Brooks has been our guy. Probably going to take 20, 30 shots here. I mean, that's enough for me to have some interest in a good matchup like this against the Pels. I will say this. The Pelicans have been playing better over the past couple of weeks. Had a little bit of a win streak there. I think they're getting healthy. This isn't the super soft matchup that it was a week or so ago, but still a good matchup. I'm not afraid to play any of the starters here. Royce O'Neal drawing pretty decent ownership. I don't know, kind of dependent on his three falling. Don't mind mixing him in, but again, I think Brooks looks good. Gillespie looks fine. Williams looks good. Jordan Goodwin off the bench has enough upside to maybe consider him here. But yeah, I like the Suns. I just don't know if there's one play that really stands out to me. Chuck, how about you when it comes to Phoenix?
I was kind of surprised how much Devin Booker I got. I'm not too far over this 12 and 15 the field is projected for, but I don't know. I'm usually not okay with it. I might just leave it today. Gillespie, I didn't get too much. Models telling us he's a really strong value, though. Mark Williams is a decently owned center value, and then my boy Dylan Brooks. Like this team is all value. Royce O'Neal looks good. Jordan Goodwin, I'm pretty sure, is going to come in with slightly higher ownership than that. I think they're all fine to mixing in a lot of these guys with those Heat players.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, good matchup for them. Again, another team that we like, but it's tough to really plant flags too firmly here between each of them. But on the other side here, we have the Pelicans. Herbert Jones is out. DeJounte Murray is still out. Jordan Poole is probable. That's really it as far as injuries go for the Pelicans. Zion's been coming off the bench. I'm about to sneeze here, trying to hold it in. But yeah, Zion's been coming off the bench. It's kind of opened things up for Derek Queen a little bit. We've seen both these guys putting up decent numbers, but Zion limited to around 25 minutes, just not someone I'm going to be getting to as long as he's over 7K. But it does help out guys like Murphy. I already mentioned Queen. Sadiq Bey is going to see a little bit extra usage. With Zion not on the floor for all of their minutes, at least in the first half. Jeremiah Fears, okay. But with Poole back, I think that cuts into his ceiling. Just another team that's a little bit healthier than they have been. No one really standing out here to me. I wouldn't talk anyone off playing Murphy, Queen, or Bay, though. How do you feel about the Pelicans here, Chuck?
I've been targeting Sadiq Bey pretty heavily in tournaments, but today, I don't know. I guess Phoenix's defense, there's something about it that he just doesn't look as good. I think these guys aren't great plays, but Bay, Murphy, maybe you could mix in a couple percent of Jordan Poole. Yeah, I'm not too interested. I saw someone ask about Bryce McGowan. Didn't he put up like a monster game last time? He's pretty cheap, low ownership. Model doesn't say he's a good value, but if the field isn't going to chase, I don't mind getting a couple percent in there. If I'm not mistaken, he played really good minutes.
Yeah, Power asked the questions on McGowan. I could bring it up here. He wants to play McGowan's fearful he's a DMP to save his playable games on a two-way. Yeah, so he's on one of these two-way contracts where you have, I think, is it 10 games you're allowed to play before they have to either put you through waivers or convert it. We have him in for 18.8 minutes today, Power. I don't know if that helps answer your question or not. They're pretty healthy. They have guys like Alvarado Hawkins available. Again, Zion coming off the bench. Matkovic still seems to be in the rotation. Like they can go deep. I think they want to keep this kid around. I think at some point they're going to either have to convert his contract or pray they can drag him through waivers. But yeah, there's fear there with the DMP, but we have him for 18.8 minutes. I think that's a pretty fair projection, but that is with him projected to start. Again, Poole and Zion projected to come off the bench. There is a world where one of them gets the nod here, but you should be able to know that McGowan's is going to play minutes if he starts here. Off the bench, I would proceed with some caution, but I don't know if you had any additional take on that, Chuck. It's kind of a tricky situation.
Like I'm okay with it if we get McGowan starting, but I think he'd be a lot better if somehow Jordan Poole got rolled out late.
Yeah. Bingo. And shouts out Schwa and Power here saying John and Coward both on track to play, which again kind of just takes us off of Memphis. You can mix in a little Santi, a little bit of JJ, but don't know that we're really rushing to get to that team now. Okay, I think that's it, I believe, for DK. We still have two more games to get through on FanDuel, though. First, the Pistons taking on the Jazz, 244.5 point total. Pistons are favored on the road. Yeah, pretty healthy here. Ron Holland is questionable. Other than that, nothing really significant. Just a bunch of G Leaguers. Again, we're looking at only FanDuel because it is the main slate. Cade, high ceiling, obviously plenty of upside if you want to get to him. Oscar Thompson, his minutes have come up a little bit. 22% ownership for him at 6,100. Feels a bit inflated. And then Durant, I mean, he's come back down to earth. I think there's other value centers I'd rather be getting to. I don't really know that I want to be playing much of him. It's mostly just Cade here for me, not much else. Chuck, how about you when it comes to the Pistons? It is a good matchup.
Other than Jalen Johnson, Cade Cunningham is the top OF index play. Jalen Johnson, Cade Cunningham, Kawhi, like really stand out. They're a tier above the rest of the slate today. Cade has good value scores. I see that 18%. I don't know. I actually was expecting him not to come in that highly owned. So I wanted to target him against Utah in this high total. But even at 18%, I'm around that right now. I think it's fine. The rest of this team is pulling some decent ownership. Karis LeVert's been making in my exposures every day. As Sir, you mentioned, I think he's kind of uncomfortable, especially if he's going to come in slightly chalky today. But we saw the ceiling. I don't think it's a spot we want to jam in, though. I'd actually be more inclined to get away from Asar a little bit, and then I don't really have interest in anyone else.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too. I think Tobias Harris is kind of an obvious pivot. It's almost like their ownership flipped. Like Tobias was chalk all last week. He's still cheaper. We have him for one more minute. They're very similar plays, in my opinion. Obviously, Harris a little bit more scoring dependent, but they're both going to play 28 or so minutes. And night to night, I think we could see a ceiling out of one or the other. So if the ownership discrepancy is 20% on FanDuel and you want a little bit of a discount, I don't think Harris is a bad pivot there at all for some leverage.
Tobias Harris sucks. And I'll mention Jalen Duren doesn't have that tough of a matchup at pretty low ownership tonight. 9%, right? Seems fine.
Yeah, and Tobias Harris does suck, but to that point, I mean, he's got over 30 fantasy points in 3 or 4. I think that's what you're looking for from Asar at his price. So, again, it's all relative at the end of the day. Speaking of, I don't have a good segue here, but we'll go to the Jazz now. We got Walker Kessler out. Toshibwe is available up from the G League. Just don't play him. I think people want him to be a thing. He is not a thing. But Laurie is healthy. He's back here. We got Nurkic starting. So, yeah, this team is healthier than they've been pretty much all week. Keontae George has been going off every single night. Not the best matchup for him, but at 1%, I think you can make a case there. Not going to be a Nurkic night for me. Again, we have guys like Diabate, Sandro, a bunch of these value centers that I prefer over him. Laurie himself looks okay, but I'd rather get to Kawhi, who we're about to talk about, or Denny at the same position. So maybe a little bit of Keontae George for me. Collier's been good off the bench, but just keep in mind as this team gets healthier, I don't know that his minutes are entirely safe. If I was confident in those minutes that we're projecting him for at 24, I'd say mix him in. But with the price increase as well, it's enough for me to kind of just say, move on. Hopefully he doesn't kill me here. Just Keontae George as far as Jazz go for me, Chuck. How about you?
Yeah, Detroit seems to be one of the teams that we least like targeting fantasy points against. I'll mention Lauri Markkanen. It still looks okay, good enough on the model at his low ownership. I'm at about 10% on him. And then to me, even Keontae, I've been like really big on Keontae in my lineups the last few slates, but today I'm not getting there as much. I think everyone else here is just kind of sprinkles. Laurie is kind of a sprinkle too, but it's a high total game, and Laurie has shown a pretty huge ceiling this year, so I'll take the shot at 5% owned.
Yeah, he had that huge game against Dallas a couple nights ago. Reminded us what he's capable of from time to time. Makes him pretty appealing as a tournament play. One more game here, guys, and we will get to the questions quickly. I believe you're not on double duty today, right?
No, we're good. We're good.
Yeah, we got Smitty in the Discord, so we could go a little bit long. Last game here, though, we got the Clippers taking on the Blazers, 227.5 point total. Clippers slight favorites here on the road. Starting on the Clippers side of things, obviously no Bradley Beal or Chris Paul. Zubac is out, as is Derek Jones Jr. Seeing Brook Lopez as the projected starting center. I am the king of the Splash Mountain fan club, huge Brook Lopez fan. Still the all-time leading scorer in Nets franchise history. chemistry. But again, we have better value than Brook Lopez tonight. I don't really think you need to go there on FanDuel where you're only playing one center. Just find the salary to get to Sandro or Diabate. But you've brought him up a few times, man. Kawhi has been playing excellent basketball. Great to see. Yeah, his prices come up, but it should have come up. He's definitely the alpha here with Harden kind of the 1B right now. Model loves him. Really good value score on FanDuel where he's available on the main slate at 9,200. Even though he's he's power forward too. Just a great play. I want all the Kawhi if I can fit him here tonight. One of my favorite payups. And again, if you can't get all the way up to Jalen Johnson, maybe play Trae Young with Kawhi. I kind of like that as a build if you're going a bit more balanced. After him, I mean, Harden looks fine. I'm not playing Collins at this price. 6,300 is just too much for him in my opinion. But really, it's just Kawhi here mostly for me, man. How do you feel about the Clippers?
Same. Yeah, I've been took the field a while to catch up on Kawhi, but he's been great, and now they want to jam him in once his price is at I think this is his season high, but the model's giving us him as one of the best points per dollar values on the whole slate. So we gotta love Kawhi. I think it's good to get some James Harden in there as a pivot. I'm not going to set the rule max one of them, although I understand if someone wanted to do that. And then Brook Lopez was popping for me so hard on a FanDuel. There's a bunch of payups I want to get to today, and that 4,100 price for him at center, it just kind of works, but it is uncomfortable with him as my only center. He starts, but he's not great, right?
Yeah, I mean, Lopez saved his career, kind of similar to Drummond. He learned how to shoot threes, and that's kind of carried him to this point. But again, I don't know what the usage is going to look like with that starting unit. We have him for 27 minutes. He probably gets you 25 fantasy points, but with so much good value with center tonight, it's like, is that going to be enough? Like, can he really be that spot in your lineup if Diabate or Sandro are getting to 40 or 50? I don't know. Kind of depends what happens with the rest of the lineup, obviously. But over on the Portland side of things, Jeremy Grant is out. Scoot Henderson's still out. Drew Holiday, Damian Lillard both out. Matisse Thybulle, Blake Wesley both out, and Robert Williams is probable. Ripping through this team pretty quickly. With Grant out, I think we're going to see Chris Murray start again. I really don't have a ton of interest in him, even as a very cheap value play. We have him for 28 minutes, just not a high usage player. Shadion Sharp has been as streaky as anyone in the league, but he's on one of his hotter streaks right now. I think he was put on the cover today. Shouts out to Boyle. But yeah, 35% usage for him in back-to-back games now. I really do like Shadion Sharp here at his price on FanDuel at 7,400. Very easy to get to. Denny is Denny. Obviously, it's the higher ceiling, but you're paying a premium for it. We have Kawhi a little bit cheaper. I think it's easier to just play Kawhi. But for that reason, my favorite play from the Blazers is probably going to be Sharp. You could make a case for Clingan, Kamara, or Denny, like I said. But to me, Shadion does stand out today. How do you feel about Portland?
Yeah, for the FanDuel main slate, it's mostly just Sharp. I was getting a decent amount of Chris Murray, but I wonder if I adjust some things, that'll come down. But I think he's a decent value play. No one's getting to at 4,100. And then I was getting to Monty Kamara. Not sure I love it. Pretty sure that that's going to change too. But I'll mention if you're playing the showdown, the single game showdown on DraftKings, then Tumani Kamara, Chris Murray, Caleb Love, Donovan Clingan probably stand out a little bit more on the showdown. And then Denny, always been trying to get more Denny, but Clippers aren't exactly a great matchup to target. I do have a few percent of him though.
Yeah, if I was confident Caleb Love would play the same minutes that he did last game against Orlando, I'd be jamming him. I mean, he takes a ton of shots, super aggressive. The thing with Murray, like, he's going to be out there. It's just cardio most of the time. He averages like 11% usage, which is really, really bad for fantasy. But again, minutes can kind of overtake talent at times. So Murray, there is a case to be made there, assuming he does get the start. Quick look at chat, then we'll get into the dummy builds here. Appreciate you guys. Power with the jokes. Pausing. Who's popping for you? Yeah, you guys are great. Appreciate all of you. I'm not going to spend too much time dissecting those, though. But yeah, let's get into the dummy builds here, Chuck. I think I want to start with Diabate and Sandro, because we can play Sandro at power forward. But start throwing some names at me, man. Are we paying up for Jalen Johnson today? Is he the guy?
Yeah, on DraftKings for sure. I'll mention Colin Murray Boyles just got ruled out, which secures Sandro's minutes a little more.
Oh, yeah. I already loved Sandro. I love him even more now. Great matchup, too, against Washington. And forward eligibility. Checks all the boxes, right?
The Heat are starting Pele Larson, so that's going to be an interesting one.
And does that mean Hawkins is coming off the bench?
Yeah, Mitchell, Powell, Larson, Wiggins, Ware. So Hawkins Jaime is off the bench. I'm not I don't know. Are you jumping to get more Larson now? I think he's a good play. I don't think he's someone we change our whole exposures over though.
Yeah, the thing with him that's tricky is he's been out for a few weeks. And
Yeah.
he's another one of these guys that like I almost like him with the second unit because he's going to be doing more. But I don't know. I don't mind Larson if we need him. I'll say maybe we hold off. I think I do want to get to Jaime even off the bench, and I do like Ware a lot too with Bam
Yeah,
out. I
where?
mean,
Yeah, let's get Ware in there if we can.
yeah, those two really stand out to me. I mean, Powell would be the play I think over Hawkes, but for the salary, I'm fine with either. We need a point guard, a small forward, and a guard around 5,900 per left.
We're on GK. Let me see who I have. Where anybody? I mean, it's like Heat guys, Bobby Portis, quickly.
Oh yeah, I do like Portis, but does Johnson have small
Yeah.
forward or just power forward?
Just power forward, I think.
Yeah, like as much as I want to get Portis in, I don't know that we
Okay.
can now, which is annoying.
Okay. Uh,
Ugh, this is tough.
yeah, I mean Wiggins or Powell, but they're both. Well, no, Powell has shooting guard eligibility. Does that fit?
Yeah, I mean, I do like Powell a lot. I think he's like 7K though, right? Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
don't. I don't know if we want another point guard at that guard spot though. I mean, quickly Gillespie, Goodwin, Brandon Ingram, Davion Mitchell, KPJ. So the
I
guys
mean,
that
I think I feel best about Quickly or Gillespie, but that's going to leave us with 4-2 for a guard. What does this look like? Is it Pele? I mean, we got Hugo from Boston, Drew Smith off the bench. Crazier things have worked. Jamal Shed. It's kind of gross this last spot.
I'm gonna give you
Um,
the grossest value play of the day. Kasparis Jakusionis.
I mean, I liked him when he was starting.
Yeah, he no one's gonna play him. He's gonna come in 0% owned. He is 37 and 4,200, so he's not min priced. But I'm pretty sure I'm gonna force in just a couple percent of him.
Yeah, and you know who else I liked? It's kind of gross. If he starts, and I might be on an island here, feel free to tell me I'm stupid. Ethan Thompson for the Pacers,
I don't even.
3,400. He's been hitting value pretty much every game that he starts in. Um, I don't know, to open it up so we could get to someone like Kobe White or Spencer if Ja were to sit. Like, to me, this feels a little bit better. And again, I'll make a quick case for him before we get out of here. We'll still do the FanDuel build, but I don't know, 26 minutes, 20 fantasy points isn't great. When he played 34 against Boston last time, had 26 fantasy points. Again, this is bottom of the barrel garbage that we're talking about here. 3K plays, like there's not a lot to like. But I think if Thompson starts, Carlisle seems to trust him enough, and he's taking shots not making them, but nice to see him throwing up 9 threes from time to time. And Al Nipper here saying Tyus Jones. I mean, honestly, it's not crazy. If he's going to do what he did the last couple of games, I don't think it's a terrible shout. But again, I'd probably try to go a bit more balanced. We're spending a bit too much time on this build, but you guys see, like, pulling out those two play, this is kind of where the core would be. Quickly, you could even leave out, but Powell, Mamu, Diabate, Johnson, Ware. Over on FanDuel, I want to get Kawhi in first. Diabate or Sandro? Who do you prefer?
Sandro.
Sandro, cool. Okay, he's in 5K flat too. Tough not to like that. Let me just quickly hit the value button here. We got Jaquez. We got where his forward eligibility. I mean, that's nice. Get some of these Heat guys in. Um,
The
Throw
model
some
kind
names
of
at me,
likes.
man. I'll get
But
them
I
in.
was going to mention the model kind of likes Pele Larson at 22 minutes. It gave him pretty strong value scores at 3,800.
I'm with it. 3,800. I mean, that's a good price for sure. Gillespie's pretty cheap over here. I'm fine with him. I'll throw him in.
Derek White is one player I'm getting a lot more of over on FanDuel than I am on DraftKings.
All right. Yeah, I mean, ceiling's there for him.
Not necessarily for the dummy. I just thought that was interesting in my exposures. I mean, CJ McCollum's not pulling low ownership if we have a Toronto guy in there. Trey Young is 84. Did you already have Trey Young in there?
Yeah, I do like Trey a lot, but I think we need to put him at point guard. For the sake of getting out of here at a decent time, let's throw CJ in. We're left with 8,600 for power forward. I mean, Laurie, I'm fine with. I mean, we could probably upgrade or move some things around. Obviously, Kawhi could come down there.
I'm
Right, we
probably
could
going to
go.
find ways to get Kawhi and Jalen Johnson in a lot of my lineups.
Yeah, and I mean, if we get rid of Ware, I think it's pretty easy. Honestly, we throw him in. We're left with 4,600 for a small forward, and that's gonna look like what?
It's going to be such a chalky day today, dude.
Ricochet. Oh, Middleton,
Yeah.
dude. That price is pretty wrong. I probably wouldn't want CJ with him, but I think Middleton looks good.
Yeah, that seems fine.
Yeah, and then Osser. Or probably, Dylan Brooks, our guy. Let's keep the bid equity going. We'll get Dylan Brooks in there. Pretty decent build here. Again, you guys can pivot a little bit. Yeah, appreciate you guys. As always, New Year right around the corner. We're doing shows for every main slate rest of the week. So as long as you're here, we will be as well. Any last thoughts, Chuck, before we get out of here? Otherwise, yeah, let's go build. And we got Smitty in the Discord today.
No, I'll just mention it seems like it's going to be a chalky day, so play some chalk, mix in a couple lower owned guys. Don't go crazy trying to get away from the chalk. They're pretty good plays today. All the Heat guys, Bobby Portis quickly, even Kuzma, I guess.
Yeah, I'll be leaving Kuzma out of that group. If I die, I die. But all right, guys, appreciate you all. Good luck. Happy holidays. Take care.